What is going on, everyone? Welcome to the Poke Office. My name is Colin. Today's video is about when is it time to sell your Pokemon cards, which is a question I've been asking myself for a long time, ever since I started the channel, probably even a little bit before that. And I think it's just one of these really complex subjects where it really depends on your goals. So on Friday last week, we looked at how much increases Sword and Shield cards have had, especially the alternate arts. Lots of the trainer galleries are starting to come around as well, and sealed products. So when we mesh all of these things together, it's like, well, I have lots of stuff back behind me and in the back closet, and then I got packs, and then I have cards in my binder, and when is it time to sell? So that's what we're going to talk about today. I'd appreciate if you have your own opinion, then leave a comment down below letting me know what your thoughts are, because it's just a good question to ask yourself. But here's my number one point. It really depends on you, your perspective, your goals. Goals is a big word that's going to come up in this video. And just what do you want out of the Pokemon space? Because ultimately, I'm here to have fun with Pokemon. I love collecting. I like investing in it. I like ripping packs. I basically like everything about Pokemon. Ever since I was a little kid, the dream of having like a little pocket monster beside me as a buddy is just the most amazing thing ever. So this is as close as it gets for me. Okay, so what are your goals? I've kind of tried to break it down into a few different ideas, so maybe you're going to relate to one of the ideas better than the others. My first idea is if you're just strictly a collector in the Pokemon space. So I know a few people, especially in the Poke Office Discord community, who don't necessarily care about value all that much. They love collecting. They like the artwork, the fact that they're like the chase for a card, whether it's opening a pack or whether it's going to a local game store and trying to see if they have that card that you still need, completing the sets, that kind of thing. This is who I'm talking about. So for them, when it's strictly about collecting, when is it time to sell? And honestly, probably never. Like if you're actually just 100% on the collecting side of the equation and 0% on the investing side of the equation, maybe you just want to keep your stuff. I remember back when I was on the OK J-Love stream a couple weeks ago, Cool Trainer Ryan came in and he started talking about this rich guy who has just like actual pallets full of sealed team up. Like it's out there. And he probably will never move it. It probably won't move until he passes away, which is hard, but that's just the way some people are. And you look at different collectible markets. Like I just read an article about like a 50s car. I'm not really into cars, so I don't remember what kind of car it was. A 50s car, just like still in mint condition. It has barely any miles on it because the guy just had it sit there and it's been sitting in that garage for years. There's people out there like that who don't necessarily care about the increase. They just love the collecting. And Pokemon's great for that. Like props to you if that is you, because I think it's awesome when I come across a binder and it's just like cards after cards after cards and from all generations of Pokemon. I think that's absolutely amazing. Not specifically me, but definitely people out there. So the only time that I think people like this sell, or the good time or the right time to sell, is when life events happen. So maybe there's a death in the family, unfortunately, or maybe you have a broken down car, or maybe there's bills to pay, maybe you're getting married, maybe you are having a kid. All of these things, like at some point, maybe it's time to sell off a bit of your collection to fund the next life event or whatever. If you don't need to do that, then that's awesome. Then you can continue collecting, continue growing your collection, and that feels really good. But always there's probably a time to sell there. Okay, number two is if you're looking to add to your collection. I think I fall partly into this category myself because I'm always like, some of the things that I have in Pokemon, for instance, my Evolving Skies booster boxes, I'm not ready to sell those yet. And unless a big life event happens, I'm not going to sell those for a little while. Like those are my long-term, like 10 to 20 year holds that I'm planning on unless one of those substantial life events happens. However, I have lots of other cards like the PSA return that I just got, where I had the Rayquaza VMAX from Evolving Skies, and I had some of the Charizards from Champion's Path and a bunch of different cards come up. Well, those aren't so important to my collection that I'm going to not sell them if I want to add something else to my collection. For instance, I just over the weekend bought a Giratina V alternate art from Lost Origin as a PSA 10 because I've been trying to get one myself and it just hasn't been cooking. With the price increasing, maybe I overpaid for it because it could come back down, but I just decided it's not worth the risk to me to, like, unless maybe Giratina might go to $2,000. I don't know if that's true. I'm not saying that's true whatsoever. I just decided personally, my risk tolerance, okay, I'm going to buy it now. If it keeps increasing, then I got in good. If it goes back down, I overpaid for it. It doesn't matter. I really want the card. But in order to fund my purchase of that card, I decided that I needed to sell some things off. So I took some of my other collection and I listed it for sale, got some money back, and now I can afford to go buy that Giratina, right? So when's the time to sell if you're kind of like a collector / investor? You're always looking to add more to the collection, but maybe you're not so keen on keeping every little thing as part of the collection. Well, the time is right when the time is right. Like, there's no right answer here. It's when you want to make a new purchase or a new decision. Well, you got to decide, what am I willing to sell off right now? What am I not willing to sell off right now? For me, especially because those cards that I mentioned that I'm selling were PSA 9s, those aren't my favorite thing in the world. So my decision making was like, okay, I got the 9s. I don't want 9s. I only like 10s. And so I'm going to sell off the 9s, and then it's going to fund another purchase for me. So I think that's a little bit too tiered. Like I was saying, my Evolving Skies booster boxes, even my Fusion Strike, my Chilling Reign booster boxes, those are like very low on the ranking of, well, I'm ready to sell them. I'm not ready to sell them unless a substantial thing happens. Whereas those cards, the PSA 9s, well, I'm ready to move them right now because I don't necessarily want them. I'm not saying I don't want them, but those are not like the most prioritized thing for me, if that makes sense. Okay, number 3, time to make a profit. So here's another avenue, maybe more for like the investor people than the collector people, but still the collectors can do it too. You have these cards, especially in the last couple months here with Sword and Shield just completely crushing it in the marketplace. I mean, what happens if you paid a small amount and you've doubled your value? You haven't got the realized gains yet because you haven't sold it yet, but you've doubled your value of a card. If you're here to make a profit, this kind of goes hand in hand to add to your new collection. You spent $200, now the card's worth $400. You sell it for $400, and now you can go buy more stuff with that $400. So I'm not necessarily saying that you're just taking a financial profit, but you're adding more value to your collection. Or maybe you're holding on to the cash. Either way is totally fine. So here's an example. We got the Gengar VMAX from Fusion Strike, and I use these numbers because they're pretty accurate here. So 3 months ago, $206.74. Now the market price, $406.72. So literally over the last 3 months, you have doubled your money if you bought this card at around the $200 mark. Now, if you made an amazing decision to buy this card at the $200 mark, congratulations, because that's absolutely epic. Now, the question you have to ask yourself is, how much do you want to keep this card? Is it worth it to you to sell it and double your money and then go reinvest that $400? Or alternatively, you could take your $200 profit, keep that as cash, and then go spend your $200 that was already in your Pokemon investments and go buy another $200 card or multiple $50 cards, like that kind of thing. There's so many different options. So when is the number correct? Are you happy with a 20% gain in your card? Are you happy with a 60% gain in your card? Are you waiting until your money or your value doubles? That's just like a really personal question, and it probably depends where you are in life, probably depends your risk tolerance, all sorts of different things. Because right now, with these Sword and Shield cards going way up, there's some risk associated with that. Like right now, you could sell everything at market value, and a week from now, you could have missed out on another 20% worth of gains. You also could sell right now, and then everything comes crashing down, and you sold at the perfect time. Alternatively, you could not sell right now, and everything comes crashing down, and now you just lost all those unrealized gains. So it's just really this risk tolerance, personal opinion. When is the correct time to sell for you? The other piece of this like making a profit type of avenue is I think there's a grind aspect to this. It's just, I do this sometimes as well. I'm buying and then selling. I'm buying, I'm selling. I'm buying, I'm selling. I'm always moving with Pokemon cards to try and continue making that profit. So if you're willing to grind a little more, that means that you probably don't need a 100% gain on your money. A 20% gain might be fine, because then you can throw that next 20% into more Pokemon cards and it starts compounding and compounding. Like I remember when I interviewed PokeNE Brian, and he's like, well, I could invest in Pokemon, so to speak, but that makes absolutely no sense for him as a business, because he's going to make way more money by continually churning out profit and churning out product. So it really depends. How much of a grind are you willing to take? Or are you more of like I'm buying this stuff, I'm buying it for my collection, but I'd also love to see that value grow. And when it does grow by 50% on my collector app or whatever app you're using to track, well then, okay, maybe it's time to sell now. So it really personal opinion. My last number, I think it's number 4, is for people like maybe who relate really well to Alex from Nostalgianomics, who are actually heavily investing into Pokemon product. Basically, like part of their retirement vehicle is into collectibles. And props to you, because it's a bit of a risky play, and I like your moxie. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm kind of like sorting out how I can actually do more for myself, for my retirement vehicle in the collectability aspect, because I believe in it for sure. But I want to be wise. So I'm kind of just like trying to decipher what that looks like for myself. And again, personal thing, because you might want to put 10% of your money into collectibles. I might want to put 5%. I think Alex, the number he said on that interview was like 35%, which is pretty high, but I mean, that's awesome. It's just a really personal thing. So when is it time to sell these retirement vehicle collectibles? And that really depends on a couple things. Number 1, it depends on your risk tolerance, like we just talked about. But number 2, it also depends on that grind. Are you going to continually buy, sell? Are you treating this as like a business, or do you really want it to be that passive growth, hands off? I'm buying, putting it in the darkest part of my closet so that it doesn't get light damage or whatever. You know what I mean? And then just waiting for 10, 20, 25, maybe 30 years, depending on when you get started, to see that growth. And that really depends. I think that comes back to what I was originally saying, when there's a 2-tiered structure here. Some of the cards I have, I'm ready to sell them when I see a 20 to 30% gain. My Evolving Skies booster boxes, I'm waiting for those to go up, and it doesn't matter how long it takes. I'm prepared to have those sitting in my back closet for quite a while. So that's kind of my thoughts on it. I think no matter where you fall on this spectrum, or maybe I didn't even catch your specific instance, but I think I caught like the main scope of when it's time to sell. When it's time to sell is really up to you. What are your preferences? What are your goals? Let's talk about goals for a minute. I think that's the most important piece, and that's why I continually say on my videos, like I talk about some of my goals. My goal right now is to get a PSA 10 copy of the top card of each set, starting at, I keep saying Chilling Reign, but probably Battle Styles as well, because I really like that Tyranitar V. So I'm about halfway there. I still got some work to do, but I just knocked off that Giratina off my list. So there's these things, like I'm working hard. I'm grinding it out. I'm buying different collections for a little bit lower than the total value, and then I'm selling it to get that value back so I can put it back into Pokemon. Like, I'm just continually churning and burning, trying to build my collection, trying to build my investments. That's why I always talk about investing as a really complex topic, where it's really collecting and investing. They're mutual. They're not separate. They're completely meshed together, and it really depends on what you want out of the Pokemon hobby. So hopefully that makes sense. Hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. And if you did enjoy the video, make sure to leave a comment, hit the like button for me, make sure you're subscribed. Now I got to keep chasing, and one of the cards I'm missing is the Machamp from Astral Radiance. All right, here we go. We got 10 packs of Astral Radiance. chasing that Machamp alt art, but there's a few, like Astral Radiance has been really cooking, like you saw on my video on Friday if you watched it. Like the Dialga and the Palkia, both doing really good. The Beedrill is way up. That original gangsta. And then the Machamp is actually up quite a bit too. Like at a time it was $85 in the marketplace, and it's definitely not. It's well over $100 now. So kind of crazy how that's going. But I mean, the whole marketplace is crazy. And at the end of the day, I think there's just a ton of money in collectibles these days. Like we talked about, is Pokemon just going through that phenomenon of COVID? And I mean, it's been 4 years. I don't think it's a phenomenon anymore. It's more than that. It's almost like a way of life. People maybe trust collectibles as like an alternate investment more than they used to. The other thing that I would say is that there is a lot of money in other collectibles. Like One Piece has a couple cards that are thousands of dollars raw. Lorcana has cards that are like in the realm of $1,000 raw. So there's these trainer gallery. Piers, okay, we'll take it. But there's these other TCGs that have huge money in them. Like, why can't Pokemon? I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that Pokemon is almost undervalued because the IP of Pokemon is so good. So good. And the other thing that I've been talking to a few people about is that there's a lot of kids getting into Pokemon these days as well. So for instance, my nieces and nephews are really into Pokemon. The kids I see at school on a daily basis are really into Pokemon. So I think that's a two-tiered approach again, where parents, like me maybe is an outlier because I don't have kids yet, but people my age and a little older are bringing their kids into Pokemon because they got back into it from their childhood. And then on the alternative, kids are seeing it at school, getting into it with the new TV show and the new cards and new everything and the new plushies, all that kind of stuff. And they're bringing their parents back in who maybe haven't got back into it yet. And now they're seeing, oh wow, I missed this stuff. I didn't remember how much I loved Pokemon. So I think Pokemon's in an absolutely great space. And the gains, I don't think it's just market manipulation. Like, there's more to it than that, because market manipulation should not be touching this many cards. I just think that it's actually a legitimate feeding frenzy with Pokemon stuff selling out on Pokemon Center. The whole, just like everything is working together in this really unique, diverse economy of Pokemon. And Sword and Shield was an era that got a lot of people back into it. So get it while it's hot, because I don't think it's coming back anytime soon. So I'm excited. Definitely excited to get that Giratina. It's in the mail currently, so definitely is my favorite card out of Sword and Shield, and I finally pulled the trigger. Though, man, I wish I would have bought it, because I paid $1,275 Canadian, and 3 months ago I legitimately had the opportunity to buy the card for $750, and I didn't take it because I thought it was too much. So this is the last pack, and we got nothing. That's okay. We got the Piers, Beedrill, and Palkia. None of the alt arts though. That's going to do it for me at the Poke Office. Hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching. Make sure to hit all those buttons for me. Leave a comment. And until my next video, peace.